Got breaking news out of Washington apropos of what we were just discussing. We are just learning that Attorney General William Barr says his redacted version of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report will be due out in mid-April. He has written to Lindsey Graham on the Senate Judiciary Committee and Jerry Nadler on the House Judiciary Committee, saying, as we have discussed, I share your desire to ensure that Congress and the public have the opportunity to read the special counsel's report. We are preparing the report for release, making the redactions that are required. Our progress is such that I anticipate we will be in a position to release the report by mid-April, if not sooner. I want to bring our Justice Department reporter, Pete Williams, into this conversation. Pete, tell me about what the implications are of this release.
So a couple of other notes about his letter to Congress. First of all, he says the report is nearly 400 pages long, which doesn't include appendices and indexes. He says in terms of the executive privilege issue that the White House and the president have said that they intend to defer to the Attorney General on any questions of executive privilege. And he says there are no plans to submit the report to the White House for a privilege review. And finally, he says, my letter that came out on Sunday has been, in his words, mischaracterized as a summary of the Mueller report. He says it was never intended to be that. It was just what he calls the principal conclusions, that is to say, the bottom line, and that he never intended it to be a summary or to supplant what Mueller himself will say when the report comes out. So he said earlier this week that in his conversations with the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee that it would take weeks to get the report out. I think we now know that he meant by that 3 weeks, because he's saying that he thinks he can get the report to the Hill and presumably publicly released by mid-April.
All right. He says here, I do not believe it would be in the public's interest for me to attempt to summarize the full report or to release it in serial or piecemeal fashion. As I've discussed with both of you, I believe it would be appropriate for me to testify publicly on behalf of the department shortly after the special counsel's report is made public. I'm currently available to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee on May 1st and before the House Judiciary Committee on May 2nd. So, Pete, to your best reading of this, when we talk about the redactions and we talk about the fact that that Barr says the president is going to defer to him in terms of his executive privilege, does that give you some sense of the proportion of the Mueller report that the public will see?
Pretty much. You know, I read this letter basically as the Attorney General following through on what he has already said, that he will testify, but not until the report comes out, that he will redact from it any grand jury secrecy information, which he said in his letter last Sunday he would do. But no, in terms of what proportion of it is grand jury secrecy, what might be executive privilege, what might be classified, what might involve other investigations that are ongoing that can't be compromised by releasing information in the Mueller report. All those things he's basically sticking to his guns here and explaining why, adding a few new pieces of information, which are, it's about 400 pages long, nearly, he says, that he doesn't intend to show it to the White House. He'll make those executive privilege clause, if any, himself, and that he'll testify when the report comes out, which he thinks will be in mid-April.
All right, Pete Williams, we're going to continue to dig into this to find out what the details are about what we can expect to get. Pete.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.